And on Mondays, we always get an opportunity at this time to speak with our friend Steve Robinson, editor-in-chief of the Maine Wire, and also the main man at the Robinson Report. That's right. It's Steve Robinson, Robinson Report. You get it. Steve, how are you this morning?
Fantastic, Matt. How are you?
Not too bad. I got to ask, how in the world can you connect Hunter Biden to the gigantic number of stories that you have been writing over the course of the last 2 years now on Chinese Communist Party marijuana grows in the state of Maine? Interesting that those two stories now are converging here, and you've done it, sir. So I'd like to know how.
Well, I'll say I'm not the one doing the connecting. The connecting is due to the profligate business interests of Hunter Biden and his associates. So the story really begins with the infamous laptop from hell, which everyone's familiar with, and I think people, when they think Hunter Biden, they think just a depraved lunatic smoking crack and throwing his gun away in a high school trash can, yada yada. But he was also a fairly high-level operator and, I think, an intelligent businessman who was leveraging his father's office in order to make lots of money. And in this situation, the central figure, other than Hunter, is a guy named Mervyn Yan. And Mervyn Yan is a Chinese businessman who lives in New York and was representing a Chinese energy company called CEFC. And according to documents obtained by congressional investigators, as well as information gleaned from Hunter's laptop, like emails, contract documents, that sort of thing, Hunter and James Biden, the president's brother, met with Mervyn Yan in 2017 and struck up a relationship where Mervyn Yan would pay the Biden family $50,000, $75,000 a month in exchange for, consulting services, advice. It's not really clear exactly what the Chinese energy company received formally. Informally, though, you're wiring money to the president's family. You're hoping maybe there's some kind of a favor that comes about as a result of that. So this is all happening from 2017 to about 2020 when the president takes office. And, supposedly the relationship continues, but we know now, based on records obtained here in Maine from the Office of Cannabis Policy, as well as corporate records from the Secretary of State's office, that Mervyn, when he was done, wiring massive payments to the Biden family, decided to turn his interests to marijuana. And at the time, both Massachusetts and Maine were legalizing marijuana, were rolling out the formal legal infrastructure to allow for businesses to be created. And so Mervyn was in Massachusetts trying to create a marijuana company called Columbia Growth, Inc., and he was in Maine, according to OCP records, trying to create Sherman Growth, Inc. And now I guess the place where he was trying to build his marijuana business is in Stacyville, Maine. And, most Mainers understand that there are rural parts of this state, but Stacyville is about as rural as it gets. We're talking about a town of 400 people. It's several miles west of Holton. It's somewhere between Siberia and Patton. There's really just one old lumber mill there that the town used to be organized around, but the town has been rightfully described as a ghost town. And this particular business venture, Sherman Growth, Inc., is interesting because his president or partner in this endeavor is a woman named Vona Lee Sides. Vona Lee Sides happens to be the town manager of Stacyville. And I talked with Vona Lee last week, and she's a 70-year-old woman, not exactly the archetype for a cannabis, business owner here in the state of Maine. And Vona Lee told me that she was paid by Mervyn Yan $100,000 to effectively serve as the straw on the company application. She went and got fingerprinted. She was by legally the president of this marijuana company. And the reason why she was needed, why Mervyn would pay her $100,000, is because at the time, Maine still had a residency requirement for cannabis businesses. So you needed a Maine resident in order to operate in the state. And so Mervyn would be running the business, Mervyn would be selling the marijuana, but Vona Lee Sides would be on paper the president of the company. And the application here was it for a Tier 4 adult use marijuana cultivation business, which is a very, very large marijuana business. We're talking 20,000 plants. That increases over time. To put that in context, that's such a large marijuana grow. There are only 9 current licensed Tier 4 grows in the state of Maine in the adult use program. So this was a massive, massive attempt at a legal marijuana grow that Mervyn Yon, an associate of Hunter Biden, tried to bring into existence, in part by bribing a 70-year-old Maine woman $100,000 to sign on as the straw co-president of the operation.
Steve Robinson joining us. And Steve, as I'm listening to you recount this tale here, I'm struck by the fact, I mean, like that took you, let's say, I'm counting here, about 6 minutes to describe all those various intricate interweavings, right? Is that part of the reason why some of these stories have not quite gotten the public imagination that they really should have? I mean, this is a really nasty story full of a lot of bad characters doing a lot of things that are clearly illegal for their own material benefit. And now it ties into the president's son and his friends. You've got obviously a major nationwide scandal about these Chinese grows that are all over the country, not just in Maine. And I feel like the unbelievable complexity of it all is something that is like standing in the way of a lot of people even understanding this, because obviously I get it, but do you have any idea how much I've had to read of your reporting in order to actually comprehend it all? It's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, it is a complex story, but what you need to understand, Hunter Biden, China, bad guys, weed, Maine, corruption. I think that...
Yeah, no, agreed. Yeah.
The key takeaway here is that the players who are involved in Maine's illicit Chinese marijuana networks aren't just podunk migrants who jumped off the boat and flipped a coin between Chinese food restaurants or Maine cannabis. If you have individuals in northern Penobscot County trying to convert old industrial buildings into marijuana grows, while they're also transferring millions of dollars to the family of the president of the United States, you're dealing with some high-level operators here. Mervyn Yon actually testified last year in front of the House Oversight Committee, was literally subpoenaed by Jim Jordan and Chuck Grassley and brought down to Washington, D.C. to testify about his relationship with the Bidens. And he admitted to transferring this money to Hunter Biden and James Biden. He said, he'd never been involved. He never, knew the president to be involved in any of this business. So Democrats hailed his testimony as blowing up Republican conspiracy theories. But the bottom line is that he is essentially a bagman for the CEFC, a Chinese energy company. And what you need to understand about any company based in China is that they are subject to China's national security law, which means they are, at any point in time, can be controlled, directed by, beholden to the Chinese Communist Party and their military or national security interests. Any Chinese citizen, no matter where they are, if they're living abroad in the United States, they can be subject to that national security law, which means that they have to report to and in some case follow the orders of the Chinese Communist Party. So this is yet another sign that the Chinese marijuana conspiracy in Maine is not just about marijuana. It's about national security, and it's being directed, controlled, encouraged from the very highest levels of the Chinese Communist Party. And I think another element of this is you have to wonder Mervyn Yon being allowed to continue to be in the United States despite having his, cover blown at the highest possible level. I mean, if you're a covert CCP operative, basically the worst possible amount of attention you could get is to be in Congress getting grilled by Jim Jordan. I mean, your
you don't like
cover
that.
your cover is effectively blown at that point. So you have to wonder, why is he still allowed to be in his swanky townhouse in Brooklyn, cutting deals and trying to start his marijuana businesses? So either he's very, very well protected or very high ranking, or the Chinese have such a low opinion of the American law enforcement's ability to defend themselves against something like this that they don't need to recall him. And I also think that it's worth wondering, did Mervyn Yan just suddenly decide that he was no longer interested in Chinese marijuana here in Maine when his business with Vonally went sideways, or did he find another avenue to deploy his capital here? Because this guy had enough money so that he could give a 70-year-old woman living in a double wide in Stacyville, Maine, $100,000 just to sign her name on a piece of paper. I think he might have had some other capital to invest in some marijuana grows elsewhere in the state. And you also have to wonder, is he a silent partner in some adult use cannabis businesses? Where else did that capital go? Who else has partnered with a guy like Mervyn Yan, who again has connections to the highest levels of the CCP? And this sounds like a wild, fantastical story to be reported out of, Maine. I totally understand that. But if you go to the Maine Wire, you can see that we've got, pictures and records. The corporate records are there. The OCP records are there. The snapshots of congressional reports showing Mervyn Yan and his claims about wiring money to James Biden and Hunter Biden. It's all there. And, oh, by the way, his lawyer throughout this was a former Democratic state lawmaker, Lynn Williams of Bar Harbor, who recently retired and was disbarred and is reportedly living in a senior care facility somewhere in Portland. And this happens against the backdrop, too, where I think everyone in the state is legitimately asking the question, why has Governor Mills remained silent about this? And if we know that the Chinese marijuana entrepreneurs, to put it politely, are interested in wiring large sums of money to Hunter Biden and James Biden, well, use your imagination. It's not too big of a stretch to assume that they might seek to rope in some other Democratic politicians into their endeavors.
Sadly, that's where we have to end things. Steve Robinson, editor-in-chief of the Maine Wire, joins us at this time every week, and we always appreciate it. Steve, thanks a lot, and we will talk to you again next Monday.